About millennials, the me generation.
Hi everyone. Today we're going to talk about millennials because this is such a pervasive issue, not only in a corporate environment, but in everyday life. As we're interacting with people when we go out into the world, we end up needing to communicate with different demographics, right? And one of the most growing demographics right now is millennials. I'm one of them. I should know about them, hope so. But we talk about the world being shaped by technology in the future, and millennials are the people doing a lot of the shaping of technology. And vice versa, technology is shaping millennials. So as we think about how Target is going to grow, how the business world is going to grow, the housing structure, everything is going to grow and be shaped in the future, it's really important to understand where millennials come from, what the trends are, what we notice about that demographic, and what the implications of those trends and those stereotypes are. What do we take away from this demographic? So first of all, when we think about where they come from an incredible economic volatility, right? Think back 6, 7 years ago. We're in the housing boom. We're in the middle of the 2000s. And the economy is growing like we haven't seen since the late 80s, since the early 90s. And these are kids who are used to being able to go into a store with their parents and probably, in a lot of cases, say, that's what I want. 2008 hits, and suddenly, as a lot of these people are in college, graduating from college, maybe just entering college, suddenly these millennials are faced with incredible economic hardship as people are saying, I just graduated with a ton of college debt. Where do I go from here? I don't have a job that's going to provide me any sort of security as I move forward. So they come from this kind of economic volatility. They can't count in the future. They also come from a culture that gives them permission to live their own life, to find their individual persona, right? That we're straying really heavily away from fit into the norm. This is a culture of exploration, and it encourages that. And millennials are really taking advantage of that and sort of shirking some of the norms and expectations that we have of emerging adults. And finally, millennials come from a time of where they're starting to push off that kind of organization that's been shunted onto them, and they're just looking at the big success numbers. They're just trying to find, how can I find my individual success? And a lot of that comes through technology. Think about the incredible technological boom that has happened in the last 20 years, in the last 10 years. Who can remember a time when they didn't have a cell phone? Who thinks they can survive without a cell phone right now? We got a couple hands, and that's it, right? A lot of hands went down because we are used to having to constantly learn new information. We're used to constantly having to input information, make decisions, and get to that success bucket. So millennials are sort of throwing off the typical go through these 3 post-it note steps, and they're just trying to figure out, how do I get the quickest information possible, make the quickest decisions possible, and get to that big success bottom line. So what ends up coming from this? We see that millennials have a short attention span. They get easily distracted. They want new stimuli all the time. We're always looking for entertainment, right? Social media, I'm always looking for what my friends are doing, and I'm always trying to tell my friends what I'm doing and make my life look cooler than it actually is. But I'm bumping from button to button to button every minute, every 2 minutes, because I get bored easily. In addition to that, millennials think that they can achieve on their own. They don't need help. It's all about that me. It's all about the individual, right? How can I succeed in a way that nobody else has? In an area that nobody else has? How can I get to that top and cheer for myself all alone? Hopefully there are a lot of people down here who are also cheering loudly enough that I can hear. Millennials have a compulsion to do good. Frequently they don't act on this, but there's a lot for better or worse. But there is this drive to do something good for the world, to do something good for ourselves, to do something good for each other, right? That there's this big focus on environmentalism, there's a big focus on global connection. And again, a lot of that is facilitated by technology. How can we use crowdsourcing to figure out how to do something good for the environment? Given that we know what's going on in the world, how does that change our own perception of ourselves? and how we want to see ourselves, right? Do we want to do more good because other people see when we're not doing more good? Technology, right? Can I get your information in 140 characters, please? I can't take anything in unless it's in a little tiny packet of information, and I want to move to the next packet right away. More technology and challenging technology. Always learning new technology, right? Oh no, that's not a backwards apple. I think that's how it actually is. Is that backwards? Yeah. See. And I follow my instincts as a millennial. So whether they're right or not. But challenging technology and being brave and making sure to do the next thing. The other thing is a big focus on aesthetic. That we're willing to pay for an aesthetic that pleases us, even in these tough economic times, even when it maybe doesn't make sense. So as we step away from the millennial demographic and think about what implications do we pull from this, a lot of it is how to be a digital native like millennials are, right? That millennials grew up having to always learn something new. And that's something that we expect. I expect that with the new Windows conversion, I'm going to have to figure out a new Excel, and I expect that I'm going to know it in a day. I expect that when my iPhone transitions to iOS 7.1, it's going to take me about 45 minutes to figure out the new buttons. And if it takes me more than 45 minutes, I can go to Twitter and I can get my question answered. I can go to Google and I can get my question answered. So not only is it knowing how to use resources, this incredible amount of resources, it's also knowing how to trust yourself, that you can learn, that you're in an environment that teaches you all of this all the time, and that now everyone below, everyone younger than you and you are being bred to learn on the spot.